I'm Marna, and this is the Twin Flame Detox. So, this video, we're talking about bloodline wisdom. Now, what exactly is bloodline wisdom? We all know that knowledge tends to be passed from person to person along familial lines, and this is almost on a subconscious level. The things we learn growing up from our families gets passed on to our children in the way we raise them. But there's also other things at work in the passing on of this. Scientists call this transgenerational epigenetic inheritance. Fancy words. But what those fancy words translate out to is an event in the life of one person can genetically affect them in such a way that memories of that event and memories of lessons learned from that event are passed on to that person's offspring. So the study that they originally did at Emory involved mice. They trained mice to be afraid of the smell of a cherry blossom. And then they later exposed the grandchildren of those mice to the smell of a cherry blossom for the first time and observed a fear reaction. So somehow, being trained to fear the cherry blossom became encoded in the mice DNA and was transferred not only to their offspring, but to their offspring's offspring. Now, what does this mean for us on the twin flame journey? Well, I'm glad you asked. We all received wisdom from our ancestors, and that wisdom is encoded in our very DNA. The wisdom that we receive tends to transmit through mitochondrial DNA, so it goes from the mother to child and gets passed on in subsequent generations. Mitochondrial DNA is strictly a matrilineal line of descent. Sorry, guys. It ends with you. But what this scientific study with the mice is showing us is that the wisdom that our mothers and grandmothers and great-great-great-great-great-grandmothers learned still resides within us. It still forms what we do. If you have ever had an unexplained phobia, the reason why may be encoded in your DNA and your family history. So what does this mean for us? That means that the wisdom that we get really does have a source. That means that when you wake up with a bone deep knowing, there is a source for that, and it comes from lived experience of people thousands of years ago. And it has been transmitted down in your blood, in your DNA, to you. How incredibly special is that? Now, you'll find that certain cultures, certain families have made more of an effort to preserve the transmission of the learned knowledge as well as the DNA knowledge. And you will see this in various subcultures. These cultures tend to have very strong matriarchal figures in the family unit. And the words of the matriarch are considered words of wisdom for a reason. Again, this transmission is made with every subsequent generation. And yes, it is important that we keep teaching the knowledge that we learn from those who come before us, but it is also important to recognize that the wisdom in our DNA is there. It does come out in ways we do not expect. So the next time you get those intuitive urges that tell you something's just not right, that may be your grandmother giving you a warning. The next time you get those feelings of really, you know, but you don't know how you know, it truly is coming from your forefathers. So that is bloodline wisdom. in a nutshell. Thank you for joining me. I'm Marna, and this is the Twin Flame Detox.